All right, Shalom Israel, Shalom class, Shalom.
Shalom.
Right, Shabbat Shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Peace and blessings to the elect of Israel scattered through the four corners of the earth. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David, that the Most High has risen up in the last days, patiently laboring and waiting for the second coming of our Lord Hamashiach Malak Yahushua. A hearty, mighty Shalom to all of the mighty men of the Lord who are out there on the highways and byways, pushing His word, magnifying Yahweh Yahushua, giving no offense in anything, that the ministry be not blamed, and magnifying the ministry as well. Shalom to those men. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out on the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're growing in the spirit, getting built up in the faith and all manner of wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual understanding, guiding the households and being established in the name of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. And shalom to all of the sisters out there, the married and unmarried, the widows, the children, and the elders who are holding it down in the households as well, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, the women that are that represent their husbands, and the young women that are not married, studying and being built up in the scriptures and the spirit of our righteous foremother. Shalom, shalom.
All praises to the Most High for another Sabbath. Right? All praises for another day of repenting, getting yourselves in order, your houses in order. Right? That's truly a blessing from the Lord, man. The Lord's mercy endured forever, man. So don't take these days as just another day, man. Examine, reprove, rebuke, and take correction. As we always do, we'll go to Acts chapter 18, verse 4.
Good. Book of Acts chapter 18, verse 4. And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath, and persuaded the Jews and the Greeks.
Right, another Sabbath servant to persuade Israel, who knows that the Israel to continue in the law, statutes, commandments, the faith, the brotherly love, the charity, all things to magnify the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. And to those who just coming out of the world, forsaking the ways of the world, getting out of the shadow of Babylon, we're compelling y'all to be in the church of Berea, to search the scripture daily and diligently, to see if the things that are spoken to you are true or not. Right? Let the words of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua be true, and every man a liar.
That's right.
Right? Cast down these false doctrines, and the only way we can do that is through Philippians 4:13.
Book of Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. I can do all things through Hamashiach Yahushua, which strengthened me.
Right, through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, we're able to take correction. We're able to stand 10 toes down on the doctrine that we learned. We're able to cast out false doctrine. Right, we're able to dismiss and build up through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua as a master builder, as Paul said.
All praise to the Most High God. All praise for His grace and mercy for seeing another Sabbath day. Can I get Tobit, right? Chapter 2 and verse 1, Bible Bashar? Tobit chapter 2 and verse 1. This is the feast tonight at sundown, man. All praise to the Most High God. Bring that up.
Book of Tobit, chapter 2 and verse 1.
Right.
Now, when I was come home again, and my wife Anna was restored unto me with my son Tobias in the feast of Pentecost, which is the holy feast.
No, it's just an average day.
Which is the holy feast.
Which is the holy feast, read.
Of the 7 weeks. There was a good dinner prepared me, in the which I sat down to eat.
So we know we're supposed to feast. We know that it's a high holy day, but now we have to go into the mysteries of it to break it down through the spirit. All right, we're going to go right into it. Let's go to the book of Acts chapter 2 and 1. Right, let's go right into it. Like we said earlier before we started the live, it's not just about eating and drinking and being married. Right, we want to actually go into why we keep the Pentecost and what it means. You read that, King. Let's deal with that first.
Book of Acts chapter 2 verse 1.
Right.
And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place.
Here's the apostles, right? 50 days after Yahushua resurrected, or Yahushua was crucified, rather. And they're all in one accord in one place. Pentecost means what? 50, right? So when you keep your Passover, you begin to count your 49 days plus 1. And you get your Pentecost. So we'll touch on that. Go on.
And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting.
So our forefathers kept the Pentecost. These Christians who say the law is done away with, that means Peter, John, and James, and the rest of the apostles are going off, huh? Because they're keeping the Pentecost. Right? Go to Acts 20 and 15. right? Acts 20 and 15. And if you haven't read the book of Acts, read it, right? Acts chapter 20 and 15.
Book of Acts, chapter 20, verse 15.
Right?
And we sailed thence and came the next day over against Chios, and the next day we arrived at Samos and tarried at Trogyllium, and the next day we came to Miletus, Salakia for the pronunciation. For Paul had determined to sail by Ephesus because he would not spend the time in Asia.
So Paul is doing his traveling in his journey, right? From Samos to Miletus, going through Asia Minor, different parts of the earth, around the Mediterranean. Go on.
For he hasted.
For he what?
For he hasted.
He hasted.
If it were possible.
If it were possible.
For him to be at Jerusalem the day of Pentecost.
The what?
The day of Pentecost.
He's trying to travel, journey, plan things out so he can make it right on time for the Pentecost, right? Go to Deuteronomy 16 and 16. So you have the Apostle Paul keeping Pentecost. You have the Apostle Peter, John, James. So everyone that believes in this Bible and it's truth, you should be keeping the Pentecost, man. You brothers in the truth, you can't just go out there and cuss out the so-called white man all day, man. You have to understand that this is part of your heritage. These are your holy days, man. While the world is celebrating Gay Pride Month, and while they're freaking off on Easter and doing God knows what for Mother's Day and Father's Day, we're prepping and keeping the Pentecost, man. So bring that up.
Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 16.
Right?
3 times in a year.
3 times in a year
shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose.
Which is Jerusalem. 3 times a year, all the men of the Lord had to come to Jerusalem. Go on.
In the feast of unleavened bread.
And the feast of unleavened bread.
And in the feast of weeks.
The feast of weeks is what? Another name for the Pentecost. Right? Pentecost is what? 7 consecutive weeks plus a day. That's why it's called the Feast of Weeks. Right? Go on.
Salakia. Feast of Weeks. And in the Feast of Tabernacles.
And in the Feast of Tabernacles.
And they shall not appear before the Lord empty.
Meaning you had to appear with what? Your offerings and your sacrifices to the temple or the tabernacle, that the Levitical priesthood may take those offerings and sacrifice them to the Most High. You can't show up empty-handed. Where's the food and who got the wine? Right? You have to bring something to the ministry. Right?
That's right.
Let's go to Exodus 23 and 16. So now you hear about it in the New Testament, you hear about it in the Old Testament. It is one of the most major high holy days, man. We have many holy days. Day of Zion, the destruction of Nicanor, Purim, etc. Feast of Dedication. But your top 3 days are what? Your Feast of Unleavened Bread, your Feast of Weeks, and what? Your Feast of Tabernacles. Right? So bring that up.
Book of Exodus, chapter 23, verse 15.
16.
Salakia. And the Feast of Harvest.
The Feast of Harvest is another name for Pentecost.
Right.
So you'll see these different names in the Bible. You hear Feast of Harvest, Feast of Weeks, Pentecost. Right? In Tobit, I believe it says the 7 weeks of sweet bread, paraphrasing. Right? Go on.
The first fruits.
The first fruits of what?
Of thy labors.
Right?
Which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering.
The feast of ingathering is the Feast of Tabernacles, right?
Which is in the end of the year.
Now read that one more time from the top.
Salakia, verse 16 from the top. And the feast of harvest.
So Pentecost is predicated off of a harvest, right? So in the ancient world, they were laborers, right? Husbandmen, horticulturalists, if you can understand. They would plant the seeds out there, plant the crops out there, and then you will have to wait to get your first fruits, right? You would take your first fruits the day after Passover during that time and present it to the Most High. That's what's called the Feast of Harvest. What is the harvest? When you gather in the increase of the field, right? Go on.
The first fruits of thy labors.
Right, the first fruits of your labor is what? If you were to plant tomatoes, if you were to plant wheat or barley, you would take the first increase that comes out the ground. You can't eat it. You can't do what you want to do. You hold on to it, and you bring it to the Most High. Right, go on.
Which thou hast sown in the field,
right?
and the feast of
And you
ingathering.
have another harvest at the end of the not civil year, but the agricultural year, right? You have our years, you have a different cycles. So the end of the year is what, the 12th month, right? But then you have the end of your civil year. You understand, which is the Feast of Tabernacles. That's why it says the Feast of Ingathering at the what?
At the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year.
And we know that the Tabernacles isn't at the 12th month, but it says the end of the year. That's the end of your what? Your agricultural year, right? That means wintertime is coming in, no more crops. You understand? That's why even Amalek, they have something called Rosh Hashanah, right? Which is what? September, right? The 7th month. They say that's the new year, right? They're going off, man. Right? Ra'ash, meaning the head of the year. So they say that the 7th month is the head of the year because they don't understand, or they're operating off of an agricultural year. You understand? But you have the Feast of Tabernacles, which is the end of that year. Right? So go on.
When thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field.
So that's when you gather your labors out of the field. So our Pentecost is literally a reward that the Yahweh Shai gives you, which is based off of the first fruits and the Most High blessing you and giving you an increase. It's not just about drinking wine and eating potato chips, huh? And flipping burgers on the grill. You were literally out there sweating, laboring, and then the Most High, and part of the curse is the Lord said he would make the heaven above you breads, right? And the earth iron, so the Most High can shut your whole crops down, man, and everybody can die. When you see that first fruit come up, that's a pure sign of hope. That's a sign that says, okay, the Most High is dealing with us. There's hope in this thing. The Most High is blessing us, and we're going to have a beautiful harvest. And we'll show you how that links up even spiritually.
Con, I was going to touch on that, right? With us doing the law, statutes, and commandments and repenting, we're trying to be the first fruits of the Lord, right? We're trying to be the ones to be the first to inherit the kingdom, right? Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 44. We'll start at verse 17. Like the brother was saying, all the first crops you dedicate into the service of the Lord, right? And who's the service of the Lord? The priest, right? We have an ultimate high priest now who is Yahweh Shai. So with us being the first fruit, we have to present all our works before the Lord. That can't be unacceptable, right? It can't be the second batch of barley we brought in, right? It has to be the first fruits. Hold that, King, and give me Sirach chapter 35, start at 1 and then jump to verse 4, Bible Show. So with us being the first fruit, we can't appear before the Lord empty-handed either. Our works got to show that we're truly in this thing. Our works got to show that we're truly trying to be the first fruit. Right? If you're half-ass in this thing, your works are going to show that this is the third and fourth batch of barley that you're trying to bring into the Lord. And it's not going to balance out. Right? You can't bring an offering that's unacceptable into the Lord.
Right.
Where you got?
Book of Sirach, chapter 35. 35 and verse 1. He that keepeth the law bringeth offerings enough. He that taketh heed to the commandment offereth a peace offering.
Right, so we don't have the actual Levitical priesthood set up anymore. Right, that was cast away. So now our offerings that we're bringing unto the Lord are us keeping the law, statutes, and commandment, the charity, the faith, the brotherly love, going on the highways and byways, being an example. All things that's magnifying the name of the Lord. That's our offering right now. Right, jump down to verse 4, King.
Verse 4. God, thou shalt not appear empty before the Lord.
So you can't prepare and come before the Lord empty-handed. You can't just show up to the Lord and expect your reward because you say, I'm an Israelite from your respective tribes. Right? That's not how this thing works. Like you can't travel from, a far land and come to Jerusalem empty-handed. Right? You're going to get mocked. You're going to get scorned. You're going to get cast out of Jerusalem. And eventually you're going to be put to death. So that's the same thing with this. Right? This is Isaiah 19 and 19 being played out before our very eyes. That altar being set up before the Lord. That altar is the first fruits unto the Lord. Right? Go to Ezekiel 44 verse 30. I think that's what I want.
Book of Ezekiel, chapter 44 and verse 30. And the first of all the first fruits of all things, and every oblation of every sort of your oblations shall be the priest. Ye shall also give unto the priest the first of your dough, that he may cause the blessing to rest in thine house.
Right? And that's why the Lord said, I pray for them that are mine and not for the world, paraphrasing. Because the first fruits are the Lord. We're bringing that increase into your house by Shem Yahushua. Right? We're being joint heirs with the Lord. Right? This is the Lord's kingdom, but we're joint heirs. So we're giving more blessings unto the Lord with the peace offerings that we're bringing unto him. We're not showing up empty-handed. We're not showing up half-assed with this, man. Once you put your foot and your hand towards the plow, right, your harvest has already started, man. Now, if you bring in barley, if you bring in wheat, right, all praises to the Most High. But if you bring in hay and stubble and stuff that's going to get burned up, right, you're bringing a scorn and what's another word I want to use? A mocking unto the Lord, right? So you don't want to bring the parable of the wheat and tare to the Lord and make him try to figure out, oh, well, you're this and you're that. Are you a tare? Are you a wheat? Your work should always show that you're wheat in this thing.
Yeah, quick precept to link up with that. Go to Romans 11. Right? Remember, it said the first fruit of your dough. Right? So the first fruits is literally what comes first in terms of your increase. Right? So bring that out. Romans chapter 11 and 16.
Book of Romans chapter 11, verse 16. For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches.
Right, so your first fruit is your huge lump of dough. Like if you, in the world, if you were to make cookies, you have your big dough, right? Then you take smaller pieces of the dough. That's the lump. You understand? And you make other things with it. So the Lord is letting you know that the foundation is our forefathers and the Jews, and the Gentiles that come off of it, they're the lump. Right? So you have the root and the branches, and you have the first fruit and the lump, right? So the lump is what comes from the first fruit when you bring the dough offering to the Most High, when they would make the 12 labors of cake, unleavened bread to the Most High and put it on the altar, right? So that's what that's going into, so you can understand the dynamic of the first fruits and what comes after that. So let's go to Exodus 34 and 22. Right? That's why brothers get tripped up in Romans 11 because they don't know the law. You read about the first fruits. You never kept Pentecost. How are you going to understand Romans 11, man? And the first fruit and the lump. Right? Exodus 34 and 22.
Book of Exodus chapter 34, verse 22. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks.
The feast of weeks is what you call Pentecost. Go on.
Of the first fruits of wheat harvest.
Of wheat harvest.
And the feast of ingathering at the year's end.
Right. And a particular week, you have wheat and you have barley. So that's the same thing. You have the feast of weeks. Go to Leviticus 23 and 4. Right? So you had harvest. You had one harvest in the beginning of the year. You had a harvest at the end of the year. All right? You have the latter rain for that harvest. You have the early rain for another harvest. Bring that out, King.
Book of Leviticus chapter 23, verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
Right? Seasons means appointed time. Right? So go on.
In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover,
which is the 15th day. Go on.
And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread.
Right. So you have the feast of unleavened. Let a brother come in and sit down with his child, man.
It's two chairs up here.
Right. Okay, brother, you gotta sit up here, King. Right. So the Lord said, read that again, King. Leviticus 23 and verse
6.
Yeah, read 6 again.
And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread.
Right, so your Passover is the first day of the feast of unleavened bread. You don't have your Passover, and then you keep the feast of unleavened bread after that. It's madness. Your feast of unleavened bread is the beginning, or the Passover is the beginning of your feast of unleavened bread. Go
on. Unto the Lord 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread.
Right.
In the first day ye shall have a holy convocation.
A holy gathering.
Ye shall do no servile work therein.
No work for pay, no work for hire. Go on.
But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days.
7 days you have to do this offering. Go on.
In the 7th day is a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein.
That's the last day of the feast of unleavened bread. Go on.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I give unto you.
When you come into the land of Israel,
and shall reap the harvest thereof.
You're going to have a harvest. When you reap your harvest, the increase of your field,
then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest.
meaning what? You take your crops, rather you have tomatoes, really barley, you understand? That's really the main thing. You take your barley and your crops, you bundle it up in a bundle, like I tell you in Matthew the 13th chapter, gather the wheat, bind it up, and you will bring it to the Most High. Right? You can't eat it. You can't say, man, I'm ready to eat this, man. A lot of people would have ate it, man. While you're sitting there laboring, you're sweating, and your crops finally come out, man. Why are you supposed to hold off, brother? And that's dedicated to the Most High. Anything that's first is dedicated to the Most High. Go to Exodus 13:1, man. Even the firstborn is dedicated to the Most High. The first day of the month is dedicated to the Most High. Right? So anything that's first is dedicated as an offering to the Lord.
Book of Exodus, chapter 13 and verse 1.
Right?
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, sanctify unto me all the firstborn.
Right?
Whatsoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine.
That's plain. Firstborn of man, firstborn of beast belongs to the Most High. So you have to redeem that, and the Most High will allow you to have your firstborn, right? And allow you to have your firstborn of beast too, man. There's a lot of brothers that firstborn in this truth, man. You know, you may be the oldest in your family or the oldest son. You belong to that, man. Right? You were the first one to come out your mother's womb. You are literally sanctified by the Lord, man. And Yahweh Shai, he was the firstborn, man, on every level. Right? He was the first spirit created. He's the firstborn son of Joseph and Mary. So he's damn triple sanctified, man. Sevenfold by the Lord, man. Without spot or without blemish. He's the first spirit created and you're the firstborn on the earth, man. Right? So go back to Leviticus 23. Right? Leviticus 23 and read 10 again.
10.
Come.
Book of Leviticus chapter 23 verse 10. Speak unto the children of Israel.
Right?
And say unto them, when ye become into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest.
So it goes to the priest. Read on.
And he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord.
Right? So it's a heave offering, right? Or wave offering. He waved before the Lord. Right? Literally, this goes down. Go on.
To be accepted for you on the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it.
Right. So after your Passover, you bring this to the priest. Go on.
And ye shall offer that day when ye wave the sheaf and a he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto the Lord.
Right.
And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil.
Right. And you got to get it right, man. You can't do 3/10 deals or get a Lord a 9th deal. I'm going to keep a little deal to myself, man. I got to eat too. And you going off, man. This has to be perfected to the Lord. The Lord sees you. You know, you got the measure cup, you kind of shake it a little bit. I'll give you a little bit. Lord, add this, man. That's what men were doing in the ancient world, man. Going off.
And offering made by fire unto the Lord for a sweet savor.
Right?
And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the fourth part of an hin.
And you better get it right too, man. If there's a little bit over, you're going to die, man. Most times going to kill you, man. If it's a little bit under, it's lights out, man. You have to get it right. It's discipline, man. Go on.
And ye shall.
This is the schoolmaster. Right? Go on.
And ye shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears until the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your God.
So you can't eat any of your first fruits or anything that comes out till you bring your first fruits to the Most High, man. The Lord don't give a damn about people being hungry, man, or your son, his stomach growling. Dad, look, it's coming up. Can we eat? Right? Yeah, you gotta do this thing, man. You have to make your body a living sacrifice for the Most High, man. Come.
Get Matthew chapter 5, verse 48. Right? You got to be perfect when you come to the Lord.
Right.
Bring this out, King. Matthew chapter 5 and verse 48.
Book of Matthew chapter 5, verse 48.
Right?
Be ye therefore perfect.
What the Lord say?
Be ye therefore
You
perfect.
got to be perfect in all things with the Heavenly Father. Even when you're dealing with the feast days and the Pentecost. Read on.
Even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect.
Right, because the Lord is perfect and he deals with perfection and precision. Right, get Deuteronomy chapter 18 and verse 13. Right, so that's what we're reading about right now. Deuteronomy chapter 18 and verse 13.
Book of Deuteronomy chapter 18 and verse 13.
Bring it out.
Thou shalt be perfect.
What the scripture say?
Thou shalt be
Hey,
perfect.
this is a commandment in the Bible to be perfect. And that's a cut to these Christians. Ain't nobody's perfect. Well, the Lord said be perfect in the Bible, man.
Right.
All right, bring it out.
With the Lord thy God.
With the what?
With the Lord thy God.
With the Lord thy God, you have to maintain your perfection. Read on.
For these nations which thou shalt possess, hearken unto observers of
All right,
time.
that's it on that.
Come. Hold on, read that again.
King, that last part you read.
For these nations which thou shalt possess, hearken unto observers of times and unto diviners.
Hold on.
Verse 13. Deuteronomy 18, 13.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Slow.
want 13?
Perfect.
You saying hearken. All right, Salakia. Let's go back to that. Deuteronomy 18.
Verse 13.
Verse
That
13.
was the following verse.
Yeah, I was reading.
Yeah, Khan, yeah, read that again, King.
Verse from
And
the top.
finish it. Yeah, 14.
Con. For these nations which thou shalt possess, hearken unto observers of times
Right.
and unto diviners. But as for thee, the Lord thy God have not suffered thee so to do.
That's right. So let's go back to Leviticus chapter 23. Right, let's go back to Leviticus chapter 23. So you have to bring this before the Most High. Right, Leviticus chapter. Remember, your first fruit was a sign that you was going to have a harvest, that the Most High was going to increase your field. So you were expecting that, man. Right, so bring that up. Leviticus 23 and
verse 14.
come, King.
God. And ye shall eat neither bread nor parched corn,
Right?
nor green ears until the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your God. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings.
Right, go on.
And ye shall count.
So, hey, if we was in that field and we had our own land, we would have to do that, man. Right after that Sabbath, you have to take the increase and bring it to the priest, man. Get up and do that, man. So go on.
And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath.
So right after your Passover, after that Sabbath comes in for that week, so you already brought your first fruits to the Most High. So now you're going to count for your Feast of Weeks. Right? Go on.
From the day that
And
ye...
it's like I was telling brothers, technically your Feast of First Fruits and your Pentecost are different days. They're set apart. A lot of brothers think they are the exact same day. No, your first fruits come in after the Sabbath during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, or after that season. And then you begin to count your weeks for the Feast of Weeks or your Pentecost. So go on. Verse 15.
15. God, from the day that ye offering, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete.
How many Sabbaths?
7 Sabbaths shall be complete.
You have to count that. You can't lose track. Is this the 8th? Is the 9th? I don't know. No, you have to count this thing, man.
Right.
We have to count, man, to make sure we get the dates right. 7 consecutive Sabbaths have to be complete. That's how many days? 49 days. 49 days. Go on.
Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath.
So on the 50th day, go on.
Shall ye number 50 days.
That doesn't mean count 50 more days. Right? It means your tally is complete. You've completed your 50-day count. Go on.
And ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord.
Right?
Ye shall bring out of your habitations 2 wave loaves of 2 tenth deals.
Right?
They shall be of fine flour. They shall be baken with leaven. They are the first fruits.
They are what?
They are the first fruits.
What is it?
They are the first fruits.
So your meat offering, leavened, those are your first fruits, like we read in Romans chapter 11.
God, Salakia. And to get the exact count to be able to get to the Pentecost, it has to be the first Sabbath after the Feast of Unleavened Bread.
Right.
Where you can't use anything leavened during the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So after the Feast of Unleavened Bread, you start to number your 7 weeks. So we kept Passover April 14th at sundown. So that first Sabbath would be April 23rd, right? That's the complete whole week of the the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So the 23rd will be 1, 30, the 7th, May 7th, May 14th, the 24th, the 28th will be the 6th Sabbath, and today, June 4th, is the 7th Sabbath, right? And Penta is 50, and you number one day. So whenever you're trying to count these days for the we'll say the first fruits, for Pentecost, you always count that first Sabbath after the Feast of Unleavened Bread.
Right, that's right. That's right. So let's read on. 18. Leviticus 23 and 18.
And ye shall offer with the bread 7 lambs without blemish of the first year, and 1 young bullock, and 2 rams. They shall be for a burnt offering unto the Lord, with their meat offering and their drink offerings, even an offering made by fire of sweet savor unto the Lord.
Right.
Then ye shall sacrifice 1 kid of the goats of a sin offering, and 2 lambs of the first year for a sacrifice of peace offering.
And I got Jake in the ancient world not paying attention to this. What do you say, 10 deals? And I'm just doing what I want to do, man. I got them messing up the sacrifices, man. Doing whatever they want to do. Did he say 2 10 deals, or was it 1 10 deal or fine flour? You have to study this thing, man. Otherwise, you'll get it all messed up, man. You didn't have YouTube in the ancient world. You know how to keep the Pentecost. Right? No, you got the law in the wilderness, and it is what it is. Now, the priest would go out and teach, but hey, guess what? You had to deal with it, man. So go on.
Verse 20. And the priest shall wave them with the bread of the first fruits for a wave offering before the Lord, with the 2 lambs. They shall be holy to the Lord for the priests.
Read.
And ye shall proclaim on the selfsame day.
On the selfsame day.
That it may be a holy convocation unto you. Ye shall do no servile work therein. It shall be a statute forever.
How long?
Forever.
What about keep Pentecost?
Forever. In all your dwellings throughout your generations.
Let's go to Sirach 7 and 31. So you keep it forever. So the law is not done away with. Pentecost is not the God of the Old Testament. He made that. Like the man said yesterday, Jesus Christ came to correct the Most High. Right? He said the Most High, he got it wrong, and the Lord had to kind of straighten things out. Where's it at in the Bible, man? When the Lord came in the scene and said, look, I'm here to straighten it out, man. Right? You got it wrong. It's supposed to be like this, and the Most High up there. No, the Most High don't mess up, man. There's no account. Oh, damn, that's a good idea. The Lord don't say, that's a good idea, man. Who has been the Lord's counselor, man? Who's up there counseling the Most High? The Most High don't need counsel, man. What do you think I should do? Should I make the earth in 7 days or 10 days? Who told the Most High 7 days, man? And the Lord did, man. He did. That's his thing, man. There's nobody said, look, Most High, look, I think that you should do, because if you do 10 days, people are going to revival. And he said, look, wow, let me fast. That never happened, man. Go to Sirach 7 and 31.
God. Book of Sirach, chapter 7, verse 31.
Right?
Fear the Lord and honor the priest.
Right?
And give him his portion, as it is commanded thee, the first fruit.
The what?
The first fruits.
Right?
And the trespass offering, and the gift of the shoulders, and the sacrifice of sanctification, and the first fruits of the holy things.
You see that? That's it on that. So it's like the point of the matter is the priests, their job was to be sustained off of the first fruits. Remember, they didn't have a land. You understand? They didn't have a set territory for all of the Levites. They resorted and lived off of the tenth, which are the tithes of the increase of the field. And the first fruits were dedicated to the priests as a holy sacrifice. Right? Let's go to Nehemiah 10 and 35. Right? Nehemiah 10 and 35. And you remember, they're doing the work of the Lord, man. They don't have time to be out there laboring all the day in the field like you do, man. They don't have time out there to be dealing with cattle. They're doing a service in the tabernacle. So the laborer is worthy of his reward, man. The Lord said, thou shalt what? Muzzle the ox that treadeth out the corn. Right? The laborer is worthy of his reward. Meaning these Levites that are out there laboring, doing the sacrifices, doing the incense, doing all of the work of the Lord, they don't have time to do regular work that you get to do. So they have to be taken care of by what? By the Israelites, man. And that applies in the New Testament too. right? Certain the apostles and the churchmen, they didn't have time to be doing the work that everybody did. So the church provided them funds so they could focus on the work of the Lord, huh? That's how it should be, right? But bring that up.
Book of Nehemiah, chapter 10, verse 35. And to bring the first fruits of all ground, and the first fruits of all fruit of all trees, year by year, unto the house of the Lord. Also, the firstborn of all sons and of all cattle, as it is written in the law, and the firstlings of all herds and of all flocks, to bring to the house of our God.
No, to eat it yourself.
To bring to the house of our God.
Right?
Unto the priest.
Unto the priest.
That minister in the house of our God.
Read.
And that we should bring the first fruits of our dough.
The first fruits of your dough, right? You got to cough up the dough, man. Right? You got to cough up the dough to the Lord, man. Right? Yeah, literally, man. The Lord, hey, run that dough, man. Right? Pack your pockets, man. Go on.
And our offerings and the fruit of all manner of trees, of wine and of oil unto the priests, to the chambers of the house of our God.
So they would take that and put it in what? The storehouses. The storage chamber. Go on.
And the tithes of our ground unto the Levites, that the same Levites might have the tithes in all the cities of our tillage.
Right, of our tillage. Right, meaning they're laboring out there doing the work of the Most High, so they have to survive off the tillage, off of the increase of the crops. So remember that the Levitical priesthood was sustained off of the increase of the field from the rest of the 12 tribes. You have 42 Levitical cities scattered throughout the 12 tribes of Israel, and he had to live off of the increase of the field.
Right,
I get Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22. Right, touching on what the brother said. You also got Numbers chapter 35, Deuteronomy chapter 14 and verse 22. You can bring it up.
Book of Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year.
Right, it's not optional, man. You got to give it up. Thus saith the Lord. Hold that real fast. Give Sirach chapter 14 and verse number 11. Sirach chapter 14 and verse 11.
Book of Sirach chapter 14, verse 11. My son, according to thy ability to do good to thyself, and give the Lord his due offering.
His due offering. Year by year, you have to give the Lord his due offering. Go back to Deuteronomy chapter 14 and verse number 22.
God, Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed,
right,
that the field bringeth forth year by year. And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe of thy corn, of thy wine, and of thine oil, and the firstlings of thy herds, and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always.
Right, so we have to fear the Most High God and bring that offering and that increase. Go to Ezekiel chapter 45 and verse 10. So what if something was off? Then the Lord wouldn't have his due offering, man. Go to Ezekiel chapter 45 and verse number 10. Because like the brother was going into, man, you can't be 7 damn measure meters off. You're giving 7 tenths here, 14 tenths here, 2 tenths here. No, everything had to have a just balance to give before the Lord.
Book of Ezekiel chapter 45 and verse 10. Ye shall have just balances, and a just ephah, and a just bath. The ephah and the bath.
Because what if it wasn't a just balance, man? How would the priest eat? How would the priest survive? How would the priest have these things set up in order, thus saith the Lord? Because the law is perfect. So if the men of the Lord wasn't doing these offerings and things wasn't in order, then the Levitical priest, things would get jacked up. And everything would be in order. Now, if literally you had somebody that had a tenth this and that, and it was all set up by the Most High God to be perfect and it just measures the weights and things were off, then those men couldn't eat, man. That's how important this thing was. Because they didn't have jobs. Their job was the work of the Lord in the ministry, man. Read on.
The ephah and the bath shall be of one measure, that the bath may contain the 10th part of an homer, and the ephah the 10th part of an homer. The measure thereof shall be after the homer.
There you go.
Can we go back to Deuteronomy 14 and let's read verse 27?
Book of Deuteronomy chapter 14 and verse 27. And the Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him.
Right? So like the brother was saying, the Levite has a very important job of doing the service of the Lord.
That's
Right? He's doing the offering. He's sanctifying Israel for their sins, bringing offerings for their sins. Right? The Levites have a very important role. Right? Hold that. Get Matthew chapter 6 and start at verse 23. Right? So the Levites, they didn't have for sure that they were going to get food. They didn't know because they wasn't out to the land. They didn't have their own land set up to be able to plant seeds and crops and all these things. But they didn't have to worry about that. Right? Because the Gentiles seek after things that they don't know about. Look, how am I going to get this? I've been doing the service of the Lord my whole life. I don't have no land. I don't have no inheritance to pass to my kids. Oh, no, they're not doing that. They know that the Lord is going to provide for them because the Lord has a time set up every 3 years that you bring offering unto the priest. Right? You got you got Pentecost. You got all these things that are set up for the priest to be able to maintain and eat and take care of their family abundantly. Right?
God, book of Matthew chapter 6 and verse 23. But if thine eye be evil, so it's 23.
So like, jump down to verse 26.
God.
25, so like, 25, excuse me.
Matthew 6 and verse 25. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for thy life, what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body, what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment?
Right.
Behold the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns.
Right. So look at the birds of the air. They don't have barns to go out there. It's not like the cartoons, the Looney Tunes, where the birds go out and rake up the stuff and pull in a whole bunch of crops. No, the birds just go out. They find food wherever it may be. Right.
Yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they?
Right. So that's the thought that the Levites had. What if the Lord were to plague the land and nothing were to be brought in? Right. You don't think the Levites would eat? Yeah, the Levites ate because they were stored up. They had things stored up. Let's go back to Deuteronomy 14 and read verse 28, Bobby.
Book of Deuteronomy chapter 14 and verse I didn't finish 27.
Go ahead, read 27.
Con. So 27 from top. And the Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him, for he have no part, no inheritance with thee. Verse 28. At the end of 3 years, thou shalt bring forth all the tithe of thine of thine increase the same year, and shall lay it up within thy gates.
Right. So even if it's not the time of the first fruits or the in-gathering harvest or the Pentecost, you still have an appointed time that you have to give your tithes and your increase to the Levites. Right? The Levites had a very important role in Israel. So it's important that they was well maintained. They lived in a nice area. They lived in the suburbs. Right? They probably smelled like frankincense and myrrh all the time. They probably got the first glimpse of sunlight when they came over the hill. Right? The Levites was living good. So we had to make sure that the Levites were well taken care of. And no, it's not because Moses got the commandments and he was like, I'm the Lord's favorite and I'm a Levite, so you got to take care of it. No, the Lord had this set up from the foundation. Right?
Get Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 10. Right? Because the Levites, they also taught the law, man. So they was executing righteousness on the earth toward the nation of Israel. Right? Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 10. So of course they had to be taken care of. You can't just kick them to the side, not think about them, right? Neglect their duty. Oh, you had to give unto these Levites. Bring it out, Kenny.
Book of Deuteronomy chapter 33 and verse 10. They shall teach Jacob thy judgments and Israel thy law.
So that's what they was set up to teach the Israelites the law, statutes, and commandments of the Lord. Read on.
They shall put incense before thee and hold burnt sacrifice upon thine altar.
Right, so they had important duties within the nation of Israel. So you couldn't just neglect these Levites. Read on.
Bless, Lord, his substance and accept the work of his hands.
Now give me Psalms chapter 37 and verse 25. Right? Right, going back to the point that Brother Amos was bringing out, the Lord is not going to forsake the righteous. Bring it out, Kenny. Psalm chapter 37, verse 25.
25? Book of Psalm chapter 37 and verse 25. I have been young and now I'm
So
old.
this is King David speaking through the Spirit. He said, I've been young and now I'm old. Read on.
Yet have I not seen the righteous
So
forsaken,
King David said, look, I never seen the righteous forsaken. I never seen them lacking or without. Read on.
nor his seed begging bread.
Right, so again, the Levites, they weren't worried about begging bread, right? Because they understood that the Heavenly Father was going to provide for them and take care of them.
That's right.
Right?
And let's go to the book of John, chapter 12. And you know, it's spiritual because remember, we're priests too. And what do we plant? We plant seeds, right? And the people and the works that they bring are the fruit, right? So this is all a spiritual thing. And we're priests, not Levitical priests, but priests under the order of who? Of Melchizedek, who's the high priest. Real quick, Hebrews 3:1, Baba Kishar. Right? Come on, you want to make a point up?
Yeah, I just want to make a quick point. Like, and then also, for some crazy reason, when you read, I like when you read Malachi chapter 3, verse 6, I like when Christianity has actually tried to convert the whole scriptures about the tithes and all, about the priesthood. I'm gonna bring this up. This is the book of Malachi chapter 3 and verse 8, and it reads, "Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have I robbed thee? And tithes and offering." So they try to convert that as saying about your money.
Right.
And it's actually talking about the tithes and offering of the people of the Israelites.
That's right.
About them giving to the priests. Right? Ye have been cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Verse 10. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that it may be meat in my house. So it's not money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's meat. And prove me now, wherein said the Lord of hosts, that I will pour you out the blessing. Sloppy. If I will not open you up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive. So we know the windows of the heaven are when it rains on the crops and things like that. But Christianity is saying the windows of the heaven is when the blessings of the money and stuff come back to you. That's lies. That's not that's talking. I just want to get a quick point.
Right, get the book of Judah, chapter 11 and verse 13. Right, that was a beautiful point, brother. Right? So again, this was only set up for the Levites. It wasn't set up for any other tribe of Israel. Right? And damn sure not these fat cat Christian pastors. Right? Judah, chapter 11 and verse 13.
Book of Judah, chapter 11, and verse 13. And it reads, "And are resolved to spend the first fruits of the corn and the tenths of wine and oil,
Which are the tithes. Read on.
which they had sanctified and reserved for the priests."
No, for everybody.
For the priests.
For Creflo.
For the priests.
For the priests. Read on.
That serve in
That
Jerusalem,
serve in Jerusalem. That do the office of a priest. Read on.
before the face of our God, the which thinks it is not lawful.
It is what?
It is not
It
lawful
is not lawful. Read on.
for any of the people so much as to touch with their hands.
See that? So it's not even lawful for them to touch of the tithes and offerings, man. This was only for the priests, right? So that's a cut to these Christian pastors, man, and those that's stealing money within the church. It's not lawful for them to touch the tithes, right?
That's a cut. That's a cut.
For you other nations, man.
Right.
Because we the first fruits, man. You harass and beat and oppress the men of the Lord, man. Right? But let's go to John 12 and 42. Right? St. John chapter 12 and 42. Right? Let's bring that up.
42.
Come.
Book of John, chapter 12, and verse 42. Nevertheless, among the chief rulers also many believed on him, but because of the Pharisees, they did not confess him, lest they should be put out of the synagogue.
Right?
For they love the praise of men more than the praise of Yahweh.
Right?
Hamashiach cried and said, "He that believeth on me, believeth on not on me, but on him that sent me."
Right. Go to 24.
Come. Verse 24. "Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die,
it
bringeth forth much fruit.
Read that again.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die.
Who's the corn of wheat? Yahushua. This is a parable about his life and his death and the resurrection and the fruit that comes out the ground due to him being obedient to the will of the Father. Right? So he's the seed. The corn of wheat is a seed. Right? So unless the seed fall into the ground, you don't have life unless the seed is planted. Right? Unless the seed falls off and hits the ground, you can never have life, man. So you have to have death to bring about life, man. You have to put something in the ground in order to bring forth fruit. Go on.
It abideth alone.
It abideth alone, right?
But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit.
Yeah, what's the point of having seeds just on a damn tree, man? They just sitting there, man. There's no point, man. The purpose of a seed is to what? Fall and be on the ground. It serves no other purpose, right? It's not meant you got sunflower, you just eat them. That's not what they're for, man. They're literally sent by the Most High God to fall, for lack of a better term, spiritually die, and be put in the ground for a certain period of time, and then fruit comes up days later, right? So it's a parable about Yahushua's life, crucifixion, and you are the fruit that has been brought forth with that one corn of wheat, right? Now go to the book of Romans, chapter 6 and 1. Right? Romans chapter 6 and 1. And there's life in that seed, man. But that life can't be activated until it's in the ground.
That's right.
Right? And there's so much power in a seed, man. Right? So, and that's like a man, right? There's so much power in your seed, man. But it's not activated until it what? Hits the embryo, huh?
That's right.
It serves no purpose. You got people talking about retention. Got to do so-and-so retention. Try the power of blank. Brother, you know what I'm talking about. Right? Do the power of 40 days blank retention, man. Right? That's off, man. Yeah, I'm an alpha male. 40 days of semen retention, man. Right? Get up on our level.
That's why Jake be spazzing out on people.
Right, man. That's why your mind all bugged up, man.
Hey, man.
You're doing 40 days of semen retention and you're married, brother. Yeah, you in the gym sweating, so you don't, and taking a lot of cold showers like other would, man. You're going off, man. If you don't put that seed in that soil, which is the woman, because you're the husbandman, and she's that good land pursuing Jeremiah 3 and 1, then you'll have fruit, brother. Right? The Lord said, be fruitful and multiply. Where's the account of 40 days of semen retention, man? To unlock your pineal gland. You know, a lot of these brothers are off, man. Right?
So, like, for the brothers who's not married, we're not saying go out and plant seeds just wherever.
Right.
We're not telling brothers. Brothers be like, yeah, Watchman told me to go
Yeah.
and plant my seeds everywhere.
Yeah.
You can plant seeds on bad ground.
Right. And you have to plant seed. There's a land appointed to you by the Most High.
Right.
Doesn't every man has a land or an inheritance given to him by the Most High? Right? Each tribe, each family, each household, each man, you have a land, which is a woman, appointed to you by the Most High.
That's right.
Right? So go to Romans 6 and 1.
Book of Romans, chapter 6 and verse 1.
Right?
What shall we say then?
That's why Salaki Yahushua said, well, we'll read, I'll touch on that later. Romans 6 and 1.
What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound?
Right?
God forbid.
Right?
How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein?
Right. We don't live according to sin anymore. That's dead to us. Go on.
Know ye not that so many of us as were baptized into Yahushua HaMashiach were baptized into his death?
But that doesn't mean you were dunked under water, huh? Right? It means, it's going to tell you what it means. It means being put in the ground and raised up. Go on.
Therefore, we are buried with him.
We are what?
We are buried with him.
I always say, how can we Christians, you don't do this, man. You want to be baptized, why don't your pastor go dig a hole in the backyard of the church, man, and put you on the ground, and why don't you raise up after 3 days, man? Jake want it easy, man. You want to display, you want to put on all white, just like that, go dunk under water and come right up, man. Oh, another baptism is what? Being put in the ground, man. You Christians, you make me sick, man.
Right.
Read on.
Therefore, we are buried with him by baptism into death.
Right.
That, like as Hamashiach was raised up from the dead
right?
by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life.
Read.
For if we have been planted together,
What have we been?
if we have been planted together,
We've been planted in the ground, man. Right? And you brought forth fruit. A lot of you brothers, you brought people into the truth, man. You can't bring forth fruit unless that old man is buried, man. That's that spiritual corn of wheat put in the ground to bring forth fruit. You'll never be able to raise the dead and bring your family or bring men and your sons and daughters and the sheep back to the Most High unless you kill an old man. It's impossible, right? So go on. This is the spiritual meaning of why we have the first fruits, why we have the Pentecost, why the seed has to be planted, why the corn of wheat must die, why the old man must be buried. Read that again in Romans 6:5.
God, for if we have been planted together in the likeness of his death,
Right, in the likeness of his death, meaning your old man is dead.
God,
You will never bring forth fruit until the old man is dead. He must be planted in the ground. Go on.
we shall be also in the likeness of his resurrection.
We shall what?
We shall be also in the likeness of his resurrection.
So we'll be raised up as what? As new men in the Lord, man. As first fruits to the Most High God, man. You understand? As servants and as priests, this is how the first fruit goes, man. You labor. You give me real quick, Sirach 7:15. Got precept. Real quick, go to Sirach 7:15. That's what we have to go out there and labor and do the work of the Most High, man. Who else is going to do it, man? How are we going to bring these fruits, these first fruits, to Yahweh Shah, man? Right, so bring that up.
Book of Sirach, chapter 7, verse 15. Hate not laborious work,
Right?
neither husbandry.
Neither what?
Neither husbandry.
What is husbandry? By show of hands, what the brother say? What is husbandry? It's like farming, huh? Husbandry, you're literally out in the field, and farmers have a hard, tough life, man. While you're asleep, they up at 4 in the morning, at the cock crowing, man. Getting them kicked in the chest by a horse, man. They have to know how to give birth, chasing chickens. Horses are being born right here. Then a cow is being born. They gotta swaddle it up and then fill the cow, lift up the big haystack, put it on the back of the damn Ford F-150, man. You know that. Yeah, dirt in your nails. They got calluses. People trying to rob you. Got to defend yourself. Hey, they have a hard life, man. That's why a lot of brothers, they don't want to go out and labor in the field, man. Right? I don't know if I should go out there. My feet might hurt. What if my feet hurt? You ever get a corn on my toes? You ever get a callus? Do you guys have ointment? No, we don't have ointment, man. Right? Dude, should I get life insurance? Right? A brother said that, man. His woman said you can't go out until you get life insurance. Right? What's your life insurance policy, man? Right? Do you have Blue Cross? Do you have Red Cross? So a brother, he had to go get life insurance before he went out on highways and byways, man. Another brother said at one point, do you guys have helmets? Right? Do you guys have helmets? No, we don't have helmets out there, brother. Right? Do you have Kevlar helmets and a damn knee pads just in case, man? That's going off, man. We don't go out there with damn helmets and knee pads, brother. And life insurance policies, man. You got it.
So like when we first started going out and teaching, it was a brother who was with us. Man, I love the brother to death. He went and joined another camp. He said, I can't be on camera. I have a job.
Right.
I don't want my job to see me.
Right.
Can I stand behind the camera so my job doesn't know it's me?
Right.
Right. So, you know, you gotta be careful the seeds that you plant, man. If you plant that fear, right, that's gonna grow amongst your camp. That's Mark 4, verse 3. God had it right. You got it.
Now you got to do it.
I'll give it to you.
Let me get the book of Mark, chapter 4, and verse 4. Mark, chapter 4, and verse 4.
Book of Mark, chapter 4, and verse 4.
Right?
And it came to pass, as he sowed, some fell by the wayside.
And the Lord is the word, man. You understand? And that seed is him planting that in our minds for us to grow in this truth. And a lot of people, they fall by the wayside. Read on.
And the fowls of the ear came and devoured it up.
And a lot of men get devoured up in this truth, man. Just because you got fringes on doesn't mean anything. You might fall out this thing. And when you plant something, it's not just automatically just going to grow up and bring forth fruit, man. It has to be fenced, has to be protected, has to have the right amount of water and the right amount of sun. You understand? To grow in this thing. Read on.
And some fell on stony ground, where it had not much earth, and immediately it sprang up, because it had no depth of earth.
Now, a lot of men, they in this truth, but they're not rooted. They may endure for a week, 2 months, even a year, but they're not in this thing to endure until the time of Yahushua. We don't.
But when the sun was up,
And the sun is affliction, man. When that sun gets up and that harvest, sometimes it'll make the crops brown. It'll sit there, it'll wither away. It won't endure because it's not indulgent in the water. It's not staying protected under that tree. Read on.
it was scorched, and because it had no root,
No root.
it withered away.
It withered away. Read on.
And some fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it, and it yielded no fruit.
And a lot of people in this truth, they get that doctrines, philosophies, women, drugs. The old man starts creeping on them. And all these thorns as you're growing in the garden to bring forth fruit before the Lord gets choked, man, by all of these thorns and philosophies and briberies. Read on.
And other fell on good ground, and did yield fruit that sprang up and increased, and brought forth some 30.
Where does it say and brought forth? You have to bring it forth before the Lord. The Lord isn't giving you all of this water for no apparent reason. He isn't fencing you in the garden of the Lord in the vineyard just to stand there all day, man. To bring forth pleasant plump grapes in the vineyard of the Lord. It said brought forth, read on.
Some 30,
Some men are on a 30-fold level.
and some 60, and some 100.
So whatever the Lord give you, you got to literally take advantage of that, man. The Lord has given you that knowledge and that wisdom and that understanding to bring forth fruit. I can get James chapter 1 and verse 18. James chapter 1, right, in verse number 18. All right, bring that up. James chapter 1 verse 18. Come.
This is the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 18. Of his own will, so like of his own will begat he us with the word of truth.
Right, that seed got planted in our minds. We were the old man. We were dead. But through the renewalness of the mind and the spirit, the Lord literally planted us and we brought forth fruit. The Lord said, of his own will begat he us with the word, read on.
That we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures.
Right, to bring forth fruit in the renewalness of mind by the ordinances of the Lord and these commandments, man. Being a new creature in the vineyard of the Lord.
God. And to touch on what the brothers bring up, can you get Galatians 5 and 22? Right, as being a good sower, you got to learn how to be a proper tree and display the fruits of the spirit. Right, so everything that you're doing is got to manifest the fruits of the spirit. Right, because the fruits always have to bring forth seed. You can't have a fruit of the Lord without seed. Right, the Lord don't have GMO fruits. You just a beautiful fruit with no seed. Right, let's bring that out. Okay?
Book of Galatians, chapter 5 and verse 22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law.
Right, as men being trees, right, and I'm planting our seeds everywhere we go, is how you have a lasting effect on people who are without. Right, being that light unto the Gentile, being that example of what an Israelite is. That's planting a seed. Giving a precept that somebody's never heard, right? Giving a breakdown of a parable that nobody has ever was able to break down to them. That's planting your seeds, right? So with us being trees and being that master builder, being that prosperous sower, you got to be mindful of the seeds that you're planting, right? Are you bringing forth trees that are beautiful that should be in the garden of the Lord? Are you bringing forth trees that people like to look at in Babylon that only last for a week? And then they wither away, like the cherry blossoms in DC. When everybody waits a whole year for that, and when the cherry blossoms come, they only out for what, 4 days, maybe a week or two, then they go away. Don't be a cherry blossom in this thing, man. Be an everglade, right? Be that everglade tree. And what they drop all the time, the pine cones, man. Evergreen, somebody, evergreen, right? They always pine cones, man. You see pine cones everywhere around. That's that good seed being dropped everywhere, man. Because that's going to endure forever. It's always green, even in the wintertime. They're not just little grenades that we used to pick up and throw at each other when we were younger. Those are the seeds that the tree are bringing forth fruit to bring up more trees, And that's the example and what we have to do as men in this truth. Plant seeds everywhere you go.
Real quick, let's go to Song of Solomon 8 and 11. Right, quick precept on that. All right, so your fruits before the Most High have to be without fault, man. Without mold. A mold on fruit is contagious, man. Keep a bowl of fruit. You got an orange or strawberries. Hey, man, let one piece of mold grow in that strawberry. Give it a day or two, man. It's gonna be in all the strawberries, man. Right, so bring that up.
Book of Song of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 11. Solomon had a vineyard at Baal Haman.
Right?
He let out the vineyard unto keepers.
So this is a parable, a dark saying really going to Yahweh Shah and the servant to the Most High God. Right, so read it again from the top. Song of Solomon 8 and 11.
Book of Song of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 11. Solomon had a vineyard at Baal Haman.
Right, now, the vineyard is the nation of Israel, right? Let's play Isaiah 5 and 7 and Matthew chapter 20 and many other precepts, right? Go on.
He let out the vineyard unto keepers.
The Lord allowed you in his vineyard as a laborer. He hired you. Rather, it's the first hour. A lot of us, all of us came in the 11th hour. Go on.
Everyone for the fruit thereof was to bring 1,000 pieces of silver.
Right?
My vineyard my vineyard which is mine is before me. Thou, O Solomon, must have 1,000.
Thou, O Solomon, must have 1,000.
And those that keep the fruit thereof 200.
Right, so guess what? The Most High leased you out a portion of the field. Right? Just like if you brothers that worked in barbershops or a woman that worked in the nail salons. Right? That chair, guess what? You get some money off that chair. But guess what you got to do? You got to cut it down, man. You got to pay that fee to the owner, man. So let's say you made $200, man. Or let's say you made $1,000 on a good day, right? You faded the Sabbath, cut people's beard off, right? Prospering in wickedness, man. You know, talking about God knows what, man, and unruly conversation. Let's say you made $1,000, right? Guess what? You have to give that God whatever percent he asked for, man. If you want 50%, hey, you got to give him 50%, man. Now, you can take that, you reward what you reward off of, you know, you go buy what you got to buy, but that guy must get his feet. He must get his cut, man. So guess what? Or get his feet, right? Guess what? We're laborers in the vineyard, and we get the fruit of the reward. You understand? Wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and the blessings, and the reward of our labor. But guess what? Who gets the final say-so? Who gets all the authority, and who gets all the preeminence? Yahweh Shah, huh? He must have 1,000. 1,000 is a spiritual number for what? Completion. Right? Like the Lord said, a 10th part of the city fell. Or in Matthew 18, the man owed 10,000 talents of sin to the man in Matthew, the 18th chapter. You understand? So read on, King.
No.
That's it.
Verse 13.
That's different. Right? So go back. You got a precept.
Can we get Song of Solomon 4 and verse 12? Or start at 11? Right, that's buffering. That's the buffering you got to pay attention.
That's
That
what's
was
up. Come on.
buffering.
Book of Song of Solomon, chapter 4 and verse 12. A garden enclosed is my sister.
Yeah, start at 11.
Verse 11. Thy lips of my spouse drop as the honeycomb. Honey and milk are under thy tongue, and the smell of thy garments is like the smell of Lebanon.
Right? So the knowledge, understanding, and the spirit that is just something is just beautiful with those who have to understand it. Right? It's like a honeycomb. If brothers never had honey, when you get to that honeycomb and you bite it, man, it's like a joy you never felt before. Right? It's crunchy, it just tastes good. Right? That's the same thing with this truth. The same thing with the spirit of the Lord coming upon you, right?
Verse 12. A garden enclosed is my sister, my spouse, a spring shut up, a fountain sealed.
Right? And in this truth, you got this bountiful garden, which is the men of the Lord are in the garden too, on a twofold with it. Right? You got men that are cedar trees, you got men that are olive trees, you got men that have frankincense and myrrh bark. Right? That's what it is in that garden, man. Right, keep going, King.
Thy plants are an orchard of pomegranates with pleasant fruits, campfire, with spikenard and saffron, calamus, and cinnamon, with all trees of frankincense, myrrh, and aloes, with all the chief spices, a fountain of gardens, a well of living waters, and streams from Lebanon.
Right, so if you get inside this garden, man, you got knowledge, wisdom, understanding. You got any and everything that you could want. Right, the smell is probably ridiculous, man. Right, funk, you will never smell funk, man. Then aloe, frankincense, and myrrh all mixed in one, and it's blowing toward the north wind, and we didn't even get to that part. Can you bring that out, King?
God. Verse 16. Awake, O north wind, and come thou south. Blow upon my garden, that the spices thereof may flow out. Let my beloved come into his garden and eat his pleasant fruits.
And on the twofold, that's the men out on the highways and byways blowing that beautiful smell east, west, north, south, everywhere that anybody who is spiritual can receive this and come back into the garden. Right where we fell from. We was already there. And then we fell from it, man. So that's the job of the men, to bring us back to eat the pleasant fruit that we've been missing our whole lives. Right? That's our job, to continue to have that, like the when we're at the harbor and we had the frankincense and myrrh blasting in the censer. People walk by, oh, that stinks, that smells awful. But then you got some people who walk by, oh, that's frankincense and myrrh, I know that. What y'all talking about? Let me listen for a little bit. You got a flyer? I'm gonna come out and see y'all again. You don't know how many people probably stopped at the at one of our camp spots at any given city, or another brother's camps at any given city, and they tuning in the live streams. They tuning in and watching videos. Right? That's that smell coming out and trying to bring back those with the wind.
Now I was gonna make a point saying only wicked people don't like the smell of frankincense. Don't like it, man.
Let's finish this.
Let's go to Matthew 15 to 13. We're not here for 4 hours. Matthew 15 to 13.
Can you read up? Can you take over reading?
Book of Matthew.
Hold on, Malachi gonna take over reading. 15 to 13.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 15 and verse 13. But he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up.
Right, so if you're not planted in Yahweh Shah, it's lights out. God's going to pluck you by the roots and send you back in the world. Many men come into the truth thinking that they're the first fruits of the Most High, but you are planted by the spiritual demon Satan, right? To bring forth thorns and briars to harm the people, which are philosophies, doctrines, evil actions, hatred, envy, anything that's detrimental to the life of an Israelite. So not every man that's planted in this truth are going to be the first fruits, man. Just like anything you plant, literally the first fruit comes in its own lot, man. Right? That seed, that's the time the Most High wanted to bloom and blossom, and it belongs to the Most High, man. Whatever comes after that, you have no control over it, man. That's all according to the will and dispensation of Yahweh Shah. Right? Like I can tell you in 2nd Ezra 8, get that real quick, 2nd Ezra 8 and 41, man. Right? As the husband planted much seeds in the ground, and they not all cometh up, so shall it be with the people of the world, man. They shall not all be saved. Paraphrasing, 2nd Ezra 8 and 41.
This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 8 and verse 41. For as the husbandman soweth much seed upon the ground.
Who's the husbandman? The Most High God. Right? The seed are the people in this context. Go on.
And planted many trees. And yet the thing that is sown good in its season cometh not up.
You might be sown good in your season, man. Sown right on time. Right? Go on.
Neither doth all that is planted take root.
Like Orion went into it, Mark the 4th chapter. Everybody doesn't take root. Sometimes birds pluck it up, the sun scorch like the brother went into. Thorns, those things happen in real life, man. Go on. Somebody steals the word too, man. I can tell you Satan. Go on.
Even so is it of them that are sown in the world. They shall not all be saved.
No, we all gonna make it.
They shall not all be saved.
Everybody's not gonna make it.
They shall not all be saved.
Right? That's it on that. So the point of the matter is everybody's not going to be saved. We're all planted, huh? And we're just hoping that the Lord allows us to be the first fruits, to be acceptable to the Most High, huh? Right? Go to the book of Acts. Actually, go to the book of 1 Corinthians 15 and 20. That's what I want. 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and 20.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 20. But now is Hamashiach risen from the dead, and become the first fruits of them that sleep.
Right, the first fruits of them that slept, right? Go on.
For since by man come death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead.
Yeah, Yahweh Shah is the first one to resurrect, right? Now you can say, well, hold on. Didn't Elisha, didn't a man resurrect when he touched Elisha's bones? Didn't Elijah resurrect the man, right? What is a resurrection? What happens when you rise again? A true resurrection. You raised up to immortality. Did those men raise up to immortality? No, they counted like you passed out, like you choked on something, right? You went what they call a flatline. Then it kind of brought you back. It's not a resurrection, huh? Right? Just because you flatlined for 3 minutes and you saw a great light, a big light, and somebody came, gave you a defibrillator and said clear and shocked, you woke up. That doesn't mean that's a resurrection, brother. A true resurrection is what? You come back into immortality, right? And you never die again. Those men never resurrected. They didn't die or were planted and rose again. Right? They kind of passed out, painted, woke back up after a period of time. Huh? Yeah, that's why otherwise the scripture would be a lie. How can Yahweh Shah be the first? I'll read that again, 1 Corinthians 15 and 20.
1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 20.
Right?
But now is Hamashiach risen from the dead.
Risen from the dead.
And become the first fruits of them that slept.
How can he be the first fruits if men already resurrected prior to him, huh? They didn't resurrect, huh? They rose and they woke up and they died again, huh? No man has died and rose to immortality except in Mashiach Yahweh Shah, huh? That's why he's the first fruits of them that slept, right? So guess what? He died, went in the ground, planted, rose up, and brought forth all of us. And it's true, huh? But he's the first fruits that belongs to the Most High, huh? Right? Of the resurrection. Go to the book of Revelation 1 and 5. Right? He is the first fruits of them that slept. There is no man that rose prior to Yahweh Shah. If you say so, you are lying. Bring that up.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 5. And from Hamashiach Yahweh Shah, who is the faithful witness and the first begotten of the dead.
The first begotten of the dead. Go on.
And the prince of the kings of the earth. Unto him that loved us and washed us from our sins in his own blood.
That's plain. Yahweh Shah is the first begotten of the dead. The first, he's the true first fruits. And last time I checked, Yahweh Shah was without spot and without blemish and without fault. So if you want to know the example of being the first fruits, you have no other forerunner but the Yahweh Shah, huh? Right? You have no greater example than the Mashiach Yahweh Shah. Go to Colossians 1 and 18. Right? Colossians chapter 1 and 18. Colossians chapter 1 and 18. Let's deal with it. So we also have resurrected, man. But guess what? We resurrect spiritually now. Right? We were once dead, planted in the earth, and we're being risen up to bring forth fruit to Yahweh Shah, man.
This is the book of Colossians chapter 1 and verse 18. And he is the head of the body, the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have the preeminence.
Come on, go on.
For it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell.
See that? So he's the firstborn of the dead. Same thing over and over. You can't get around it, right? He's the first one to resurrect into immortality, right? Go to the book of Acts. Actually, go to Exodus 34 and 22 with me. So Yahweh Shah is the first fruits of them that sleep, huh? To rise from the dead. We haven't physically died and rose again, but through Yahweh Shah, through faith, we have spiritually died and rose again. Bring that up.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 34, verse 22. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end.
And this links up with what Jezreel was going into. So when we're planted in the earth, Jezreel went into the early and latter rain. So the early and latter rain is what we expected for it to grow as seeds, man. Literally in the ancient world, prior to your feast of first fruits, you had something called the early and latter rain, right? So the early rain came in around the time of what? The feast of ingathering, and your latter rain came right before the Feast of First Fruits. You understand? So us being the first fruits of the Most High, what is the latter rain that we are receiving in order to grow up in the knowledge of the Most High? How are we going to be acceptable to the Lord? Huh? Go to the book. Well, actually, let's go to James 5. And we got the definition. But Tommy, can you read the definition, Bible Shah, of rain? We're going to read the definition of rain. Can you see?
Okay, this is the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary definition of rain. In Palestine, the rainy season extends from October to April.
Right, from October to April, from the Feast of Tabernacles to what? The Feast of First Fruits. Right, go on.
The dry season from May to October.
From May to October.
The early rain occurs in October and November.
So the early rain occurs during the time of the Feast of Tabernacles. You're not going to have that increase in the Feast of Tabernacles
Water. Until you get that rain. It's just not going to happen. Right? Go on.
Psalm 84, verse 6.
Yeah, they give you the precept. You got to read the precepts.
The latter rain in March and April.
Read that again.
The latter rain in March and April.
The latter rain in March and April. So in order to present your physical first fruits to the Most High, you're looking up and you're waiting on the Most High to give you that rain. Right? You're banking on it, man. Just going out every day. Is this the latter rain? Right? Go on.
It says, crops are therefore planted so they will grow during the rainy season.
During the what?
During the rainy season.
That's what we're planted during the rainy season, huh? Why we're not planted in the desert, huh? We're planted during the spiritual raining season. Rainy season, go on.
Rain is often used in the Old Testament in a figurative sense.
And a what?
In a figurative sense.
Go to Deuteronomy chapter 32. That's all we want on that. So what is the rain that we're receiving? Right? We're going to hold that. Deuteronomy 32 and 1.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, and verse 1. Give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the rain.
My what?
My doctrine shall drop as the rain.
So in order to be the first fruits, you got to have the doctrine of the Lord, man. Otherwise, you're not going to be presentable before the high priest, man. You can't come with your own thing. You can't say, well, I'm going to make my own, water it with this. You have to have the latter rain and the spiritual rainy season. That's why Song of Solomon says that what? The rain is going over and past. You understand? So read on.
My speech shall distill as the dew.
My speech shall distill as the dew. That's that moisture. Brothers know what to do is you go outside, hasn't rained, soaking wet. Right? So the speech of the men of the Lord is what's going to water you as the seeds and the spiritual latter rain so you can grow up and be the first fruits. Just like physically, that physically happened. You got the physical latter rain and the seeds planted in the ground, and you bring those first fruits to the Most High. Spiritually, where our dead bodies are planted in the ground, get that spiritual rain, which is the doctrine of the Most High, raised up as the first fruits of the Most High. Go on. This is the spiritual side of the Pentecost. Every high holy day, major high holy day, has a spiritual meaning behind it. Right? There's spiritual meaning behind the lamb of the Passover and the bitter herbs and the unleavened bread. I was talking to Hawaii yesterday. There's a spiritual meaning behind the Feast of Tabernacles. It's not just about, I got my tent. All right, where we camping at today? We're doing marshmallow. But you have to go into the spirit. There's a spiritual meaning behind these high holy days. Behind the memorial blowing of the trumpets. Is it just about blowing the trumpet? Or do you have prophetic trumpets? Are we the trumpet? Is the Lord coming with a trumpet? So you have to go into the spiritual side of these high holy days and see what they mean to us. Go on, King.
Reading on. As the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass.
Right, let's sit on that. Go to Hebrews 10 and 1, Bible Bishop. Hebrews chapter 10 and 1.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 10 and verse 1. For the law having a shadow of good things to come.
What is the law?
The law having a shadow of good things to come.
So everything in the law is a pattern leading up to what? Yahweh Shai and the ministry and the spiritual things. So when you read about the tabernacle, you read about the altar and the candlestick, that all pertain, those are carnal ordinances that pertain to Yahweh Shai. Right? It even calls it a worldly sanctuary when you read Hebrews. Right? So the law is just a shadow of heavenly things. So yeah, you're physically laboring, but we spiritually labor. Yeah, you have physical seeds, but our old bodies are the spiritual seeds to bring forth fruit. Yeah, you have the physical latter rain, but now this truth, this doctrine is a spiritual latter rain. Yeah, you have the fruit that rose up from the ground. Yeah, the fruit that rose up from the ground. Yeah, you have the fruit presented before the priest, and we're presentable before Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Right? So the law is just the shadow of heavenly things. Go on.
And not the very image.
And not the very image
of the things can never, with those sacrifices, which they offer year by year, continually make the comers thereunto perfect.
Can you be perfect spiritually by bringing your physical first fruits year by year? You're bringing all of your meat and your dough to the Most High God. Right? Can you ever be perfected? No, you can't be perfected, huh? Well, you know what makes you perfect? Bringing forth the righteous fruit for the Most High. Repentance. You understand? Even John the Baptist said, bring forth meat, fruit, meat for repentance. You understand the water? So that's the spiritual fruit that's going to perfect you. Carnal fruit can't perfect you. Physical rain can't perfect you. The spiritual sun can't perfect you. These things have to be opened on a spiritual level. That's how you truly understand the precepts.
God, let's go to Hosea 6:1.
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 6 and verse 1. Come and let us return unto Yahweh, for he hath torn and he will heal us. He hath smitten and he will bind us up.
Right.
After 2 days will he revive us, and the third day he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight.
Right. So as the Lord has done to us, he tore us, he threw us, he cast us away. Right. In 2 days, he's going to visit us, coming close to completion. Right. Now he's starting to breathe that breath of life back into us. Right.
Read on. Then shall we know if we follow on to know the Lord. His going forth is prepared as the morning, and he shall come unto us as the rain, as the latter and former rain unto the earth.
Right. So it's going to be like the ingathering. And like the brother was talking, all these high holy days are spiritual. Speaking about the memorial blowing of the trumpet, that goes into the 7th month. Right. You blow the trumpet, and it's preparing you for the end, like the brother was saying. And you got these trumpets that are coming that's going to declare the end of this world that we know now. So what is that declaring? The end of the harvest. It's time to get ready for the gathering. It's time to bring forth those things that are presented worthy upon the Lord. Right? It's wild you said that. If you really think deep into these high holy days and look at it, you can really figure out the spiritual aspect of it. If you don't know, you got countless brothers that explain it to you. You know, so when the Lord comes into us, like we was going to the schoolmaster, man. When we come into the school, we're coming to the schoolmaster, that's coming before the Lord. Now we're getting back in the ways. Like if you go to the school, you got the syllabus, you got the curriculum you got to go through. This is how you come back into the Lord, right? Now you're receiving that rain. That rain is filling you up. You're getting that living water. Now you can sit there and look at the scriptures and break it down on sevenfold, eightfold, infinite ways you can break it down through the Spirit.
Right. That was a good point. Right.
You can get the book of Job, chapter 29 and verse 19. Job chapter, you can't get around these precepts, man. That's why you got to link these things up through the Spirit. Job chapter 29 and verse 19.
It's the book of Job, chapter 29 and verse 19. My root was spread out by the waters, and the dew lay all night upon my branch.
Right, the dew laid all night upon my branch. That's how we grow into the truth, you understand? By the words of the Lord. The prophets out there, they sitting up there, they shaking their hand, they go into the precepts. That's laying on it, man. That's laying at the heart. Read on.
Read on. My glory was fresh in me, and my bow was renewed in my hand.
Right, because you can have a plant and then it's dying off, but then it hits that water. Then it starts to give life again. Then it starts to grow. It starts to be green again. Read that again, King.
Verse 20. My glory was fresh in me, and my bow was renewed in my hand.
Right, we need to be renewed in this thing, man. You can be the strongest tree, the strongest plant. You can bring forth all the fruit, but if you don't continue with that water, you're going to start to fade away. Read on.
Verse 21. Unto me men gave ear, and waited, and kept silence at my counsel.
So Job wasn't out there just relaxing, man. Job was an elder. Job was a king in this thing, man. And he's sitting out there, he gave counsel, and men waited to hear. Read on.
Verse 22. After my words they spake not again, and my speech dropped upon them.
My speech dropped upon them, man. Meaning that's the words of the Lord, the water, the life, you understand? Giving it to those men, building them up.
It's fire precepts, man.
Let's go to James chapter 5 and verse 6.
Right?
James chapter 5 and verse 6. Right, so this is the early, it's like the latter rain, because it's the last days, man. Right, so bring that up.
This is the book of James, chapter 5 and verse 6. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you.
Yeah, the so-called white man raped, robs, and murders, and the Most High didn't resist them yet. Go on.
Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, and have long patience for it until he receive the early and latter rain.
See that? The Lord is telling you how the men were in the ancient world, man. Long patience, waiting for the fruit of the earth, man. That's how we have to be in the last days, man. And once you get that latter rain, boom, you know, man. Once that first fruit come up, that's a sign that the harvest is coming, man. So we know the harvest is coming because Yahweh Shah rose again, man. As soon as he rose from the dead, we knew, oh man, this is it, man. Then the rest of the apostles and the other men of the Lord start raising from the dead. Then we start raising from the dead. And like Amos said, hey, the harvest is on its way. Let's go to Jeremiah 5 and 24. Actually, Joel 2 and 23. Salaki. Joel 2 and 23. Joel, the second chapter.
This is the book of Joel, chapter 2 and verse 23. And it reads thus. Be glad then, ye children of Zion, and rejoice in the Lord your power. For he hath given you the former rain moderately.
He hath given you the former rain moderately.
And he will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain, and the latter rain in the first month.
In the first month. Go on.
And the floor shall be full of wheat, and the vats shall overflow with wine and oil.
This is spiritual. When you read the first chapter, Joel, who destroyed us? The caterpillars, the locusts, the palmer worm, which is symbolic for these other nations who have been eating up the vineyard and the garden of the Lord. Utterly, read that real quick, King, just so brothers know. Joel 1 and 4.
Let's look at Joel chapter 1 and verse 4. It reads thus, that which the palmer worm have left, have the locusts eaten.
Yeah, we got beat down by the Babylonians. Then here come the Persians and Medes, man. You get beat by the Medes and Persians. Then here come the Greeks. You get raped, robbed, and murdered by the Greeks. Here come the Romans. So it's oppression after oppression after oppression being used in a spiritual sense of these different locusts that destroy the crops. Right? Brothers understand? Read it one more time from the top. Come.
Verse 4. That which the palmer worm have left, have the locusts eaten.
Right?
And that which the locusts have left, have the cankerworm eaten. And that which the cankerworm have left, have the caterpillar eaten.
So we're being destroyed by these nations, man. But when you go back to Joel, the second chapter, what did the Most High say? Joel 2 and 24.
Verse 24.
After the latter rain.
Joel chapter 2 and verse 24. And the floor shall be full of wheat.
What the Lord say?
And the floor shall be full of wheat.
And these are the floors being full of wheat, man. In the last days, man. Every man in the Lord that's in this truth, that's sincere, if you're part of the elect, the Lord willing, we're part of that number, you represent the floors of the wheat, which comes after the latter rain. Go on.
And the vat shall overflow with wine and oil.
What is the wine and oil that's overflowing? Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Go on.
Verse 25. And I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten.
Right?
The cankerworm and the caterpillar and the palmer worm, my great army, which I sent among you.
So when the Lord destroyed these nations with the missiles and the chariots, and you read about that earlier, the Lord's going to restore back to us the kingdom of heaven, huh? And destroy, he's that spirit. What do you kill insects with? Pesticide? Raid. The Lord, the chariots are the raid, huh? Right? The chariots and the missiles are the raid and that damn offspring, huh? That green bottle that you sprayed, as a kid, huh? Yeah, that damn the spiritual roundup with that big cord that link up with that big thing you spray the damn driveway with, huh? You're the exterminator, huh? The Lord is the exterminator. Pest control, huh? Right? Go on.
Verse 26. And ye shall eat in plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of the Lord your power that have dealt wondrously with you. And my people shall never be ashamed.
And what?
And my people shall never be ashamed.
Let's go to Jeremiah 5:24. Right? So the palmer worm, the cankerworm, they're going to be done away with, huh?
Right.
Harming the first fruits of the Lord, huh? So bring that up.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 5, and verse 24. Neither say they in their heart, let us now fear the Lord our power.
Jake is not saying that. Never heard a brother say that in the world. At work, damn, out and about. You ever heard a brother say that, King? He looked at his watch. Let us not return to the Lord our God. Brothers ever heard a brother say that in the world? No! You never heard that before.
Somebody laugh at me.
Yeah, they'll laugh at you, man. You sit up there, man. Let us not return to the Lord our God, man. So what the hell? Jake is gonna make him smoke a blunt, man. You get tricked, man. Right? Make him damn smoke his life out, man. You got a point, King?
Yeah, in the world they say, if you scared, go to church.
Yeah, if you scared, go to church, man.
Oh,
They do say that.
oh.
Then you go to church and get drunk, right? Off of white Jesus blood, huh? Yeah. So go on.
Verse 24 again. Neither say they in their heart, let us now fear the Lord our power, that giveth rain,
That giveth rain,
both the former and the latter,
the former and the latter.
in his season. He reserveth unto us the appointed weeks of the harvest.
The appointed weeks are what? Your 7 consecutive weeks. So you have your spiritual latter rain coming in and your appointed weeks to the harvest. Guess what? You're in the time of the appointed weeks to harvest, man. You're in the days leading up to the harvest, man. You're the same way you have to count 7 consecutive days. You're in that time right now, man. Now the Most High's coming, right? We don't know what we don't know where we're on. Maybe it's the time for the harvest, a year from now. Maybe next week. We don't know. We're just in limbo, man, patiently waiting for the harvest to come, huh? Right? So let's go. We got a few more. Let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians 15 and 24. Right, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and 24.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 24. Then cometh the end, when he shall have delivered up the kingdom to Yahweh, even the Father, when he shall have put down all rule and all authority and power.
Right, this is Hamashiach Yahushua, right? Go on.
For he must reign till he have put all enemies under his feet. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death.
Is what?
Is death.
Right, now I want you to really jump up. Jump to 21.
Verse 21 reads thus: For since by man came death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead.
Right, so as soon as death came, that stimulated the resurrection. Can't have the resurrection without death. Right, so man has to fall and go off in order to bring forth life. Right, go on.
Read on. For as in Adam all died, even so in Hamashiach shall all be made alive.
And all is all of the elect of Israel. Not everybody. Go on.
But every man in his own order,
Every man is in his own order.
Hamashiach, the first fruit.
What the Lord say?
Hamashiach, the first fruit.
The first fruits.
Afterward, they that are Hamashiach's at his coming.
That's right. Let's go to Revelation chapter 14. And 4. You understand?
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 14 and verse 4. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto Yahweh and to the Lamb.
So the 144,000, they're the first fruits, man. Because guess what? 1/3 is going to make it out of here. Now, we don't know who's the 1/3. Neither do we know the exact quantity of the 1/3. It could be 3 billion. It could be 2 million. We don't know. But what we do know is that the 144,000 are the first fruits. Everybody's not going to be the first fruits, man. It's just, it is what it is, man. Literally, those are the men that the Most High has on a high level. Madonna could be 144,000, and I might not be. Right? Pagaya Abba could be, and Nasha Ayaman. We don't know, man. But we do know. Read that again in verse 4. What's the trait of the 144,000?
Verse 4. It says, these are they which were not defiled with women.
What are the women? doctrines, philosophies. Even if you let your own woman, huh, defile you, huh? You're not keeping Pentecost today, nigga. Right? You know what it is. Right here, sit down and eat. Right? But I gotta go to camp. Shut up. Right? And brother sit down and damn put his bib on and damn eat food, huh? That she cook on a Sabbath, and you want to lay up with me. And you lay up and you the little spoon, huh? While the men of the Lord are shaking their hand, you the little spoon in the bed, man. Eating shrimp, man. Right? And she pick out your outfit for the weekend. You gonna wear this Monday and this Tuesday and this Wednesday, man. And you got them damn pajamas with no socks. Your feet kind of go in. Yeah, the onesies, man. With the flap in the back, the two buttons from Tom and Jerry. When you gotta flip the back off in a big hat when they carry the candlestick walking down the stairs, man. Right? Like a weirdo, man. While the men of the Lord are doing the work, you're dressed like a cartoon character from the 1950s, man. So read that again, Revelation 14:1.
Revelation chapter 14, verse 4.
4, Consulate.
These are they which were not defiled with women.
So this is a clear indicator, right? To see if you on that path. Are you defiled by women? Does a woman rule over you and tell you what to do? Have you trimmed your ways for love? Have you given your strength over to your woman? This woman kind of call a shot. You're kind of scared to say something. You know that's the old lady on the road, yeah. And you do got a good point, right? You do got. Maybe I should go to camp. I did at camp last week. You do got a good point. No, brother. No, you don't have a good point, man. Happy wife. Denzel Washington said that. They interviewed him at the red carpet, and they said, Denzel, right? And he said, well, what's the secret? Because I believe he's been married to his woman for a long time, like 40-something years, man. Which is rare. And they asked, well, Denzel, what's the secret to your marriage? And I think she was kind of in the back. So he kind of looked around, right? He kind of looked around, hoping she wasn't around, right? She wasn't around, but he could feel her. So he kind of was like, well, you know, happy wife, happy life. He kind of ducked off camera, man. Right. Isn't he the equalizer? Training day, wasn't it Alonzo, man. Alonzo is telling them, King Kong, that's King Kong, man. And he's saying happy wife, happy life, man. So that shows you, man, our people, they can be physically defiled by women. You got a point, King? Yeah, can you bring out 1 Corinthians 6:16? Come, we can bring it out. Piggyback on what you're saying. Well, let me back on that, King. All right? 1 Corinthians 6:16.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians.
See that?
6:16.
Come.
1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 16. What? Know ye not that he which is joined to a harlot is one body?
There's one body. If you join to a harlot, meaning spiritually or physically, mentally, you can be joined to the world. You can then go ahead, it's one body, it's one flesh. Go ahead.
But two, saith he, shall be one flesh.
Right.
But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit.
So you gotta be careful. You know what I'm saying? Not to be joined to a harlot.
Right.
Meaning the philosophy of the world, these doctrines, things like that.
Come,
let me back on what you were saying.
Come. Hey, the Lord said it Proverbs 5:3 about the strange woman. Right. Said her lips are smoother than oil. Right? They drop as a honeycomb, man. Get that real quick in Proverbs 5:3.
It's a flee fornication. Right. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body.
So every sin, like you may steal from the grocery store, that's without this body, right? You may go out and what's another sin without the body? You may break the Sabbath day. Why you may not put your fritters on? That's a sin without the body. Go on.
Read on. But he that committeth fornication.
He that commits fornication, right, which should be homosexuality, adultery, pedophilia, bestiality, lewd behavior. Go on.
He that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body.
He sins against his own body, which is really the church. Because if Nasha'aya deals with a spirit of fornication, we all got to deal with it, huh? Because that spirit that's on that woman in the world, he's going to bring to the body, huh? Right? That's what it means. It affects the body physically and within the congregation. So go to Proverbs 5:3 real quick. Quick precept on not being defiled by women.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 5, and verse 3. For the lips of a strange woman drop as in honeycomb.
That's why you Jakes love Christianity, man. You like those smooth words, come as you are, right? right? You can do what you want to do. God still loves you, right? Jesus loves you, and you get a job, and you'll get a blessing, and you'll be successful, and you're going to prosper, right? And look at them. Give that man a hand. Hey, that's sweet words, man. People like them get their rock. Can I get a job? Right? Goddamn. Am I going to get a blessing? Get their rocks off, man. Let this strange woman just speak them to sleep, man. Go on.
And her mouth is smoother than oil.
Hey, Christianity run game on you, man. Get you out your damn clothes, man. Spiritually. Right? Now you damn going to church every Sunday, you know, pants down, dealing with white Jesus, man. Go on.
But her end is bitter as wormwood.
See that, read?
Sharp as a two-edged sword.
Sharp as a two-edged sword. Go on.
Her feet go down to death.
Her what?
Her feet go down to death.
You can go with these other women if you want to, man. I'm going to deal with wisdom. I'm going to deal with knowledge and understanding. Right? Go on.
Her steps take hold on him.
That's plain, huh? You got it, King.
Proverbs chapter 23 and verse 27. For a whore is a deep ditch, and a strange woman a narrow pit. Right? Hey, that's playing upon tables.
Right.
Right? These spiritual whores, they're a deep ditch on tables. When you go into that Christianity, next thing you know, God loves everybody.
Right.
Hand me that pork chop. Hey, what is shrimp at? Right? Because that whore didn't seduce you and bring you down low into that deep ditch.
Right. That's right. Hey, a deep ditch, you starve to death. And there's no light. And there's no escape. So a lot of you brothers, you fall, ain't nobody going to get you out of that, man. You want to stumble into that deep ditch and not have the light to ponder the path of your feet? That's on you, man. Right? Let's go to Matthew 13 and 28. Right? We got a few more. About 5 more, we're going to wind down. Maybe 4 more. Matthew 13 and 38. So those men, they're not defiled with women. They are virgins, meaning without spot. Pure. You understand? Like 2 Corinthians 11, 2 on down, see, huh? Right? The Lord said, these are they which are redeemed among men. These are the first fruits unto the Most High and the Lamb. Yahweh, he's the priest, man. So these men are being offered to the priest. Right? So bring that out, King.
Matthew chapter 13, verse 28. And he said unto them, an enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, without then that we go and gather them up?
Right?
But he said, nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them.
So you have tares and wheat too, man.
Right.
Right? If you look at a tare, it literally looks identical to the wheat. I mean, they look exactly the same. Are you trying to pluck it up? Is that the tares? Is that the wheat? Which one do I choose? Then you damn plug up the wheat and be destroyed, man. Right. Like people try to cut the wires off a bomb. There's the red wire. They're sweating. It's countdown and the damn commercial about to come on and damn cut the wrong wire, man. See that? See how wheats and tares look identical? So if you plug up the tares and it's really the wheat, it's over. Right? So go on.
Reading on.
That's like telling a brother you're going to get salvation. He might be a tare. You can't tell a brother he's going to make it. I don't know if you remember, his brother said, I know I'm part of 144,000. He said that. I don't know if you remember that brother. He said, and that brother, he's part of 144,000, and that brother too, and that brother's definitely, this was like 5 years ago. Yeah, he pointed him out, like, that brother, do you remember that brother?
Was that the brother King David?
I think it was a young brother. I can't remember his name. That might be him. But he was doing that, man. Just proclaiming who's part of 144,000. At home on his couch with no shirt on, man. And a matron. I mean, he was really doing that, man. So go back to that.
Verse 30. Let both grow together unto the harvest.
Unto the what?
Unto the harvest.
So the first fruits are going to be taken in at the harvest. Go on.
And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers.
The reapers are the angels. Right?
Gather ye together first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them.
Destroy the wicked.
But gather the wheat into my barn.
So the Lord's going to gather the wheat. Then he's going to take the first fruits of that wheat, present it to the Most High. When is that going to happen? At the harvest. When is the harvest? The end of the world. Go to that in verse 40.
Verse 40 reads thus. As therefore the tares are gathered together and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world.
39, Salakia.
Verse 39. God. Verse 38.
39. 38, go ahead.
God. The field is the
You
world.
must have 37.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Verse 37. He answered and said unto them, he that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man.
Right, so the Son of Man is the good seed. I mean, he's sowing the seed, which is the word. Go on.
The field is the world.
The field is the world.
The good seed are the children of the
The
kingdom.
good seed are the children of the kingdom.
But the tares are the children of the wicked one.
Anybody that's of Satan, they're the wicked one. Right, go on.
And the children of the kingdom, that's talking about the elect.
That's right.
Verse 39. The enemy that sold them is the devil.
So the devil's out here laboring too. He's planting seeds, man. Right? He's planting seeds, and this guy, he'll be planted false brother unawares.
Right.
Man ordained to condemnation. Set up a proud brother. Set this guy up. He might have fringes and a beard on too, man. Set this guy up, an agent. This guy might look like an Israelite, kind of beat him, might trying to figure out what's going on, and guys kicking the door. All hell breaking loose, man. You got Satan out there laboring too, man. Go on.
Read on. The enemy that sold them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world.
The Lord said,
The harvest is the end of the world.
and what?
And the reapers are the angels.
So the first fruits are going to be gathered at the end of the world. You receive the latter rain. You're bringing forth fruit, some 30-fold, 60-fold, 100-fold. Then a reaper is going to come and with the sheep and a scythe and cut it down and present you to the Most High. Go on.
Read on. Verse 40. As therefore the tares are gathered together and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world.
Right, that's it on that. Oh, you can read on one more.
It say, the Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend and them which do iniquity.
See that? So you got to keep the commandments. That's a cut, huh? You can't do iniquity if you want to make it out of here. Go to Revelation 14 and 15. Right? Revelation 14 and 15. So the harvest is coming. The harvest is coming, and Yahweh Shai, he has the sickle in his hand. Let's bring that up.
Revelation chapter 14 and verse 15. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud. Thrust in thy sickle.
A sickle is a curved scythe like a blade that they would take and cut down wheat, right? With just one quick motion. Go on. Thrust in thy sickle
and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe.
Right, and when you have a harvest, you have to wait till it's ripe. Can't get it too early. You can't wait too late, man. You got to get it right on time. Brothers that y'all eat damn bananas, you got to wait till it's damn that golden yellow, man. You can't wait till it's all dark black and brown. Now it's time. No, brother, it's too late, man. Right? It's green and it's this big. Okay, now you're going off, brother. You have to wait and wait and wait. Boom, right on time, huh? Tomatoes, corn is all the same way. If you wait too late, that tomato get all soft. Then worms will start eating it up, man, and then it falls to the ground. You go, damn, I missed the harvest. It turned brown. You wait too early, it's all green. You gotta you said what?
It's all green and you can't bite it.
Yeah, you can't bite it, man. You gotta wait till it's juicy, red, and fat, and then you pluck it, and it's right on time, huh? You gotta.
This is the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 13. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great.
For their wickedness is great. Go on.
Read on. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision.
Right, Yahweh Shabbat, Jehoshaphat. Right, you understand in the English tongue. The Lord said that the harvest is coming. Now we want to be what? The first fruits. So when you think about Pentecost and you're thinking about this day, you're thinking about you being presentable as the first fruit to the Most High. You're thinking about what it takes to beat the 144,000. You're thinking about Yahweh Shai being the first fruits of them that slept, and that blessing that allowed you to raise from the dead and allow you to come into this truth and allow you to understand your nationality and allow you to get your house in order. This is the mentality of the man in the last days that's keeping a feast of weeks, not just flipping burgers and drinking a damn Stella, huh? You know, and wearing a fancy garment. It's literally a spiritual wake-up call and a reality check, because as I read, I want to make sure I'm one of the first fruits. I don't know if I'm numbered, but the Lord said, be diligent to make your calling and election sure, man. I want when the harvest come, that I'm not the tares, man. When the harvest come, I'm presented before the priest, man, before Yahweh Shah, man. Right? I want to make sure that I'm bringing forth fruit, man. I want to make sure that my old man is buried so I can bring forth fruit the same way Yahweh Shah's the corn of wheat that was buried to bring forth fruit, man. So when the harvest comes, not only I make it, but my brothers can make it too, man. So this is the mentality of the brothers and the sisters in the last days that's keeping Pentecost. Jeremiah 50 and 16. Okay, Salaki, King.
Revelation chapter 14 and verse 16. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth.
Right, that's Yahweh Shah coming with the chariots.
And the earth was reaped.
And the what?
And the earth was reaped.
Reap.
And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar which had power over the fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, thrust in the sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe.
See that? The grapes are fully ripe. What are the grapes symbolic for? The other nations to be destroyed. So the blood and the winepress could be stained on his garment. Right? Come.
And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of Yahweh.
Yeah, the winepress is the missiles. Like I tell you, 2 Ezra 13. It was fire mingled with sparks and the tempest, man. Right, go on.
Read on. And the winepress was trodden without the city.
Without the city, because you can't have that blood inside of Jerusalem. The city is the elect. Everybody that's destroyed, they're outside the city. Right? We are that city. So there's not going to be blood within the city. It's going to be without on the outside. Right? It's going to be right reserved for destruction. Like I tell you, the Valley of Hinnom and Isaiah. Right? You have places outside the city reserved for massive death and destruction. Right? The Valley of Slaughter. That's prophetic. Go on.
Read on. And the winepress was trodden without the city.
Without the city.
And blood came out of the winepress.
Those are other nations being destroyed, man. Yahweh Shah destroying them with the chariots. Go on.
Even unto the horse bridled by the space of 1,600 furlongs.
Yeah, we looked that up one time. I can't remember that exact mileage of that.
About 200 miles.
Yeah, I believe that's accurate. About 200 miles, man. 200 mile high blood. Imagine that. Yahweh Shah the chariot. Blood is up, just flooding the earth, man. That's a lot of dead bodies. That's a lot of dead people, man. Maybe 200 miles of blood, but the Lord loved everybody. How does the Christian explain 200 miles of blood? Whose blood is that? To the horse's bridle. Right? Imagine, you know how the movies, the horse in the water, you got to get the horse to cross the river, and the horse trying to make it. That's how much blood. You picture that as blood. Now the horse is really spiritually that chariot, man. So imagine so much destruction and reach up to Yahweh Shah the chariot. What you got to give?
This is book of Amos, chapter 8 and verse 3. And the songs of the temple shall be howling in that day, saith the Lord Yahweh. There shall be many dead bodies.
There shall what?
There shall be many dead bodies in every place. They shall cast them forth with silence.
Damn, you see that? You see that? That's the horse's bridle right there. And the ancient world, the horses had to be like, what, 7 feet tall? That's just on all fours. The horses are small now. Looking at that horse downtown is carrying the white people, right? You look, oh God, look at the horse. Look at his paws. Oh, how much does it cost? Right? Can I get that thing? No, brother. Those are small horses, man. Right? Them horses in the ancient world had to be like damn 7 feet. Tell you the elephants, you could fit 32 people in an elephant back then. 30, can you do that now? No, man. Right? The elephant freaking off, dead. He has no tusk, right? He can't make it. You know, got a damn Indian man with a carpet on him. He's on vacation. Those elephants back then, like you watch those movies, Lord of the Rings, when they had the big carriage of 32 men, that's how big the elephants were. Yeah, I was gonna say that too, 300, huh? Right? Those big clumsy beasts that he caught that King Leonidas caught him, huh? Right? So let's Jeremiah 50 and 16.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, and verse 16. And it reads thus: cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn everyone to his people, and they shall flee everyone into his own land.
Right? Read that again.
Verse 16 again. Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn everyone to his people, and they shall flee everyone to his own land.
Right?
Keep reading.
Come.
It reads, Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First, the king of Assyria hath devoured him, and last, this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, hath broken his bones.
Right, those are the other nations. Right? Go to Jeremiah 51 and 33.
Jeremiah chapter 51 verse 33. It reads thus: but thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Yashar'alah, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her.
It is what?
It is time to thresh
What the
her.
Lord say about America?
It is time to thresh her.
Right?
Yet a little while.
Yet a little while, we're waiting on the harvest. Yet all hell is breaking loose on the earth, man.
Right.
We got famines brewing up, prices skyrocketing, gas is $10. Damn, inflation, man. Shipments, supply chain, mass shootings, supply chain issues, man. Famines, food is damn. Like I said, I brought 5 things earlier prior to the Sabbath. This thing was like $110, man. Pestilence on the earth, monkeypox, more doctrine, seducing men. Love waxing cold. You understand? Evil men waxing worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. False prophets, chariot sightings, natural disasters, storehouses being emptied out. Friends fighting one against another like enemies.
Israel waking up.
Sedition among men, invading one another. You understand? These are the signs in the sun and the moon, blood moons, eclipses. You understand? The sea and the waves roaring, troubles. The elect being sealed. Earthquakes. These are the signs of the uproars of the people. Double rainbows and signs and 3 suns and 50 chariots and Esau trying to shoot the chariot down and chariot shaking the hand, man. Go back to Jeremiah 51, man.
This is the book of Jeremiah,
51 and 33.
Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 33.
Right?
But thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her. Yet a little while, and the time of harvest shall come.
And the what?
And the time of harvest shall come.
What's coming to America?
And the time of harvest shall come.
And the grapes are going to be destroyed as the wine press of the Most High, and the elect are the wheat, and the first fruits are the 144,000 sanctified by the latter rain that were planted in the earth to bring forth fruit. This is what Pentecost is about, man. Come. And with that, Kwam Yashem. Shalom.
Shalom.